He could.
This is the Tom and Jerry Sports Show
on All Noise Radio.
I'm Jerry.
Go.
And I'm Tom.
Ball. What? Shoots and scores. What a play by Tavares. Wait.
All Noise Radio. The noise. The noise. You can't ignore.
You're listening to the Tom and Jerry Sports Show on All Noise Radio and the Live 365 app. I'm back here with Kevin Donlin.
How you doing?
You're here for the Nap and Donny hour. We're going to get into a few things. This weekend was really kind of a big weekend in sports because, you know, you had the Kentucky Derby, you had the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. You know, you just had baseball in full swing still.
NFL draft all weekend.
NFL draft starting on Thursday going into the weekend. It was big, and you know, then you got the NBA playoffs, you got the NHL playoffs.
Yep.
It was just a big weekend in sports. If you're a big sports fan, this was the weekend to pretty much put your feet up and sit there and watch TV all weekend long.
Yep.
And other sports fans wouldn't be mad at that. So first, we're going to get into the NFL draft. Really, I think the biggest surprising thing for me was that there was no trades, I think, until the 20s.
Yeah,
I think maybe late teens.
Nobody went in for the top 10. Nobody thought they needed to reach for any players. I guess they had needs, and hey, guys fell to them.
17. The 49ers and the Chargers made a trade for number. They pretty much, the Chargers traded up to 15 to draft Melvin Gordon, and
running back off the board.
49ers moved to 17 and ended up getting a defensive end, which they desperately needed because of all the retirements. And
yeah, the 49ers got hit with a lot of bad news this offseason for the 49ers and
absolutely.
Their fans.
Number one pick, we said it last week.
It was going to happen.
It was basically, I think everybody knew it was going to happen. Number one, Buccaneers took Jameis Winston, quarterback out of Florida State. The draft grades that we're reading right now, the analysis grades from SportsIllustrated.com, have it at a grade B.
That's crazy because, I mean, even you look at the number 2 pick with Mariota, and they're giving that an A- right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So it makes you really wonder who this might be one of those, RG3, Andrew Luck kind of situations. I mean, who's better?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, with Jameis Winston going number 1, I mean, listen, the guy's had success. I mean, he's he's more prepared to be an NFL-style quarterback. Marcus Mariota might be a little bit of a work in progress, but again, the upside for him is, definitely higher, I would say.
Absolutely. It was actually just funny. I mean, before coming into the studio today, I was watching ESPN, and they had the Elite 11 show. That it's a program for the top high school quarterbacks that are brought into this program
I've heard about
with like Trent Dilfer and guys like that, and they work on their game
mechanics and stuff,
yeah, basically. And these are kids that are in 11th grade going into their senior year. Pretty much most of them have already committed to a college.
Yeah,
but one of the guys, I guess it was the 2011. One of the guys in that Elite 11 was Jameis Winston.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, he's got the size. We talked about this last week. I mean, he's got the size. People are comparing him to Ben Roethlisberger. He might be able to get away from a couple sack opportunities. I mean, the question is, listen, we don't know the answers right now.
You don't.
I mean, it's an up and down situation between both quarterbacks. They could both be great or they could both be bust. I mean, listen, I'm not eliminating that neither player will be good at some point. But do I expect either one of these quarterbacks to even be the starter opening day? I mean, Jameis Winston most likely. I mean, there's nothing else in Tampa Bay.
There's no
way. Marcus Mariota and this whole situation with Mettenberger, as you could see, Mettenberger, his agent, 5 minutes.
He asked
5 minutes
trade
after that draft pick. 5 minutes. It was the top story right then and there. I mean, he wanted a trade. He wants out. In time, Mariota will be a very good quarterback. But, I'd be surprised to see him as a starter opening day. Most likely going to be. I'd personally be surprised. Mettenberger, he showed a lot for that team. And there's still a lot of holes for that team. I thought they could have definitely taken care of a lot of other needs. Hey, but
wide receiver, one of them.
Yeah,
or even just trading back and getting. First of all, with this draft pick, number 2, a lot
Everybody
of teams,
wanted it,
a lot
man.
of teams wanted Marcus Mariota, especially the Eagles and the Browns. They were willing to give up everything and everything.
World, yeah.
I mean,
there were some reports about that one trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. Personally, I don't think that they offered all that. But even if you gave them 3 or 4 of those things, that's a very
but
good
that's
trade
the thing.
value.
Like, that's the thing with that trade. I know the one that you're talking about. These guys that they were trading to Tennessee
Fill needs.
are shown starters. They're gonna be a starter,
And they fill needs that this team does.
big
They're
time.
not one player away. Marcus
Big time.
Mariota is not going to make this team. Not a 10-win team without a doubt. I mean, I'd be surprised if they even get to 500 this year. I mean, they their pass rush was questionable. Their defense has been questionable, and especially in the division you're in, you're facing Andrew Luck 2 times a year. You know what I mean? So I mean, you're gonna need a defense. You're gonna need defensive, players to try to hold him off. Listen, I understand you're gonna have to match up with it. Mariota might give you your best opportunity, not this year, but maybe down the road. But this team definitely had a lot more needs that it needed to take care of, and I really think. Personally, that's why I was surprised about no top 10 trade pick. That
was the thing. Everybody thought that this number 2 pick was going to be traded. Everybody, thought it was going to happen. I was excited, sitting there for this pick. I mean, it kind of went down to about 2 minutes. I mean, a lot of people were saying how boring this draft was, like the first round, because everybody was taking that clock down to at least 2 minutes to a minute sometimes.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
The Jets took it down to a second?
Well, you could tell that. I mean, me being a Jet fan, I mean, I think the 2 picks that that were on top of their board was Amari Cooper and Brandon Sheriff. And I mean, these are the 2 picks that were picked right before him. They definitely didn't think Leonard Williams was going to make it down to them. And that for a team that already had a successful D line already, to add to it. Listen, like we talked about last week, you cannot have enough defensive linemen. I mean, switching them in and out. You're always, fresh. If you have a constant pass rush, you know what I mean? And this is a team right now with a scary secondary and a forefront that reminds you of the New York Giants. Yeah. I mean, you remember that forefront with Tuck and, all those guys.
Strahan.
I mean, you're talking about 4 guys getting to the quarterback alone.
Absolutely.
You got another, 7 guys back in coverage.
Yeah.
And not to mention you're going to have one of the best secondaries in football right now. Jets defense looks very scary.
Listen,
it's just whether or not they're going to score points.
Yeah. They were a team that was also looking to move up to that second pick.
Yep.
I think that was kind of just thrown off the table once they kind of heard what the Titans kind of wanted. But
they wanted too much.
When you look at it, like, now, if this is true, if this offer was true from the Eagles, I don't know what the Titans were thinking about. I mean, you're looking at, the Eagles were trying to move up to either the 1 or the 2 pick. They were giving up 2 first-rounders, a third-rounder, Fletcher Cox, Boykin, Kendricks, and even more. And they were talking about Sam Bradford being in that package. So right there, you're getting a proven quarterback. Yeah, he might have injury problems, but he's a proven quarterback in the NFL.
You can't disregard Mettenberger either. I mean, listen, you put Bradford in there, maybe he gets to week 5, week 6. That's no offense, that's probably the best situation. But then you're looking at Mettenberger coming in even after that, and Mettenberger has proven that he can be a formidable. Listen, you'd have no offensive line on that team, man. They were not running the ball all year. Even Chris Johnson couldn't run the ball with them in his final year of his contract. They have other needs. I mean, they you're looking at a cornerback, a starting cornerback, defensive lineman. Yep, that'll solidify that when you're facing guys like Andrew Luck.
I mean, it's just if this was a true. I mean, listening to an interview with Chip Kelly, he said it wasn't true. The thing is, you don't know. You really don't know. He's not going to tell you, oh, yeah, well, we were really trying to trade all of our guys in our locker room.
I personally don't believe they wanted all. They offered all of that.
Yeah.
Or else, I mean, if you're the Titans, I don't understand what you were thinking. But,
exactly.
I personally think that's just a story. I mean, you're looking at, what is that, Ian Rappaport?
Ian Rappaport.
Yeah.
The Jaguars, this was a surprise kind of, because it was, you didn't know who they were going to go for. Everybody was saying that Leonard Williams was the best player in the draft.
That's the way you got to think. I mean, Dante Fowler Jr., I mean, this is a guy that could play the end, can play the outside linebacker. Yeah, and I mean, to have a guy that could play both of those positions, you're looking at, someone like, what was that guy on the Giants?
I mean, you had DeMarcus Ware the same way. Yeah. He could play outside linebacker. So it like Kiwanuka, guys like that kind of have the size to be a defensive end, but also have the athletic ability
to be flexible,
to be an outside linebacker.
Yep.
But getting Dante Fowler was kind of a surprise. I don't think anybody expected this. They were talking about maybe a wide receiver in Amari Cooper or Kevin White.
I understand the wide receiver need with the Jacksonville Jaguars, but that defense was god-awful. I mean, they really needed to get some big guys up on that front. I mean, they need some sort of a game changer. Again, you're facing Andrew Luck twice a year. I mean, you have to find a way to stop.
Well, that's why I was saying, it was kind of surprising that they went with Dante Fowler instead of Leonard Williams.
Yeah, someone that can get to the quarterback. But I mean, it's not to say Dante Fowler is a bad player.
No, absolutely not. I think this is, it's probably a great pick for them. 4, the Raiders go Amari Cooper.
Hands down. I saw this pick coming a mile away. The Raiders really needed a number 1 wide receiver.
I didn't think that they would go with Amari Cooper. I thought they were going to go with Kevin White because I think that fit more of their type of.
I think either one of them could be a number 1 receiver.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm not even really talking about a number 1 wide receiver. Just more so speed. Mm-hmm. Kevin White.
Well, this isn't the Al Davis thing. I bet you. I'll tell you right now. I guarantee you that pick would have been Kevin White if it was the Al Davis era. Still, you know what I mean?
Redskins taking Brandon Scherf at number 5. Very good. They kind of talked about him and even Pete Flowers. Whoever it was were kind of top with offensive linemen. Brandon Scherf was kind of, they were talking about maybe the Jets going for him. A few teams are kind of looking at him.
Hey, he's a flexible guy.
Absolutely.
He can play every spot on the offensive line. I think that's what made him ahead of the other 2. I mean, that's not to say the other 2 aren't good. All 3 of these guys are very good offensive linemen. Personally, as a Jet fan, I wanted all 3 of them.
Yeah,
I mean, at this rate,
absolutely.
but Scherf is the one guy on their lineup, that's going to be able to, he could play the guard, he could play the left tackle, he could play the right tackle, and he could play either, he can even play center at this rate. I mean, he's really a flexible guy.
And then basically what we were talking about with the Jets, where the Jets kind of. This pick kind of fell in their lap.
Yeah, I felt they kind of got stuck for a minute. It took a while because I honestly think they didn't expect Scherf to go ahead of Leonard Williams. I mean, the Redskins had a lot of needs with that defensive line. I was very surprised.
Nobody expected Leonard Williams to drop to 6, and I felt like the Jets kind of sat there and they were like, all right, well, we can go for a need. Or we can go for the best available.
And then remember, listen, there's still talks with Muhammad Wilkerson. You can take care of your needs with a trade for Muhammad Wilkerson.
Absolutely.
And some.
Yeah, because, I think they're asking for 2 first-rounders for Mo Wilkerson. So we'll see what happens with that. The Bears take their wide receiver. You knew that the Bears were either going to go for Amari Cooper or Kevin White, no matter who was there.
I think this was the perfect pick.
Absolutely.
The Chicago Bears. Absolutely. You got rid of Brandon Marshall. Listen, he's a head case. I'm a Jet fan telling you the guy's a head case.
Yeah.
The guy, you have the number 1 receiver already.
Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah, guy's a freak of nature, man. 2nd-round pick, and honestly, he is a proven number 1 receiver, talented down the field. You can't. You're not going to be successful with 2 guys that are deep threats. Brandon Marshall's a deep threat, and so is Alshon Jeffrey. And that was a big problem.
Yeah.
You got 2 guys going 25-plus yards down the field, and Jay Cutler's not finding either one, and you get people blaming Jay Cutler for it. Look at the game plan. What are you doing? You got to have a guy underneath. I think Kevin White's a great underneath route. Speed. Going to get away from any kind of coverage, especially if you cut him over the middle. Just, be careful.
They gave him a grade of an A.
Yeah, definitely well-deserving.
The description was, there are a few players in this draft class who will make Cutler happier than Kevin White. A burner who can beat just about any coverage with his raw speed and vertical physicality.
Hey, man, vertical, you can get him across the middle, too, vertical, man.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking about an underneath route guy, a possession receiver, someone that'll really make a big part and make a big difference for the Chicago Bears.
Absolutely. We're going to take a break. We're going to get more into the draft when we get back. You're listening to Tom and Jerry Sports Show on All Noise Radio on the Live 365 app. Keep it locked.
Our jobs occupy more than half our waking hours. Shouldn't we be doing something we love? Call Connecticut School of Broadcasting at 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com. Since 1964, Connecticut School of Broadcasting, with a network of 12 campuses from Massachusetts to Miami, has helped place thousands of grads as DJs, sportscasters, entertainment reporters, behind the scenes in audio and video production, every aspect of the broadcast media. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has trained men and women of all ages and backgrounds in a matter of months, not years. Learn by doing from area radio and TV pros. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com. Remember, it's never too late to love what you do. Day and evening classes begin soon. Get trained. Get connected now.
Welcome back to the Tom and Jerry Sports Show on the All Noise Radio and Live 365 app. We left off with the 8th pick in the draft. We went through the top 7, talked about the Bears and Kevin White. Good pick for them. On to number 8, Falcons. Take Vic Beasley, outside linebacker out of Clemson. Vic Beasley, I talked about it last week.
Yeah,
very safe pick.
Absolutely.
Good player. Good pass rusher. Some saying the best pass rusher in the draft.
Yeah.
And that's what the Falcons needed more than anything.
They always need.
Well, the defense needed so much. I think they still need even a little bit more. Their offense is top level talent.
Yeah.
They got 2 receivers that are unparalleled.
Well, that's the thing when you look at this team and how they don't go further.
Yeah.
Because of
defense.
Looking there, they have no rushing game whatsoever.
I know.
But just the passing game. To have a tandem of Roddy White and Julio Jones. How do you not? How do you not do
you think Todd Gurley might have been a good pick for them? But I think they need to get the need on the defense. That was the problem.
I think
with
defense
that team.
was more of a need for them.
Well, their defensive numbers were they were gross.
Yeah.
There's only one way to describe it. I really don't want to insult them like that. They are a good team.
They have no pass rush at all.
And when you don't have a pass rush, you can't get the other team's quarterback. How do you expect to beat the Saints?
Yeah.
Even Cam Newton. Cam Newton gets away from rushes. You don't give him a rush. You're going to make this guy look like Tom Brady.
Exactly.
So, then we as we keep going, we go on to the Giants. Number 9. Eric Flowers, offensive tackle, Miami.
We're going to get into more of the Jets, the Giants, and obviously the Cowboys, being that I'm a Cowboys fan.
Their full drafts, right?
We're going to get into their draft. But, just talking, off the air, just talking about this pick, a lot of people have been killing this pick. Yeah. And at first, when I saw it happen, I was like, all right, well, that's what they need. They need any type of offensive lineman because Eli Manning is just touched way too much. And even when they were winning the Super Bowls, they had a good line.
Well,
they had a very good line
that had been together for a long time.
Absolutely.
And that is this. And again, we talked about it. It's such a big part. Eric Flowers, I'm not going to really hate on this pick too much. There's really nothing too much to hate. They took care of a need. And this guy, compared to whatever else they had on that roster right now, is going to be an upgrade. Does he need some work? Yeah. But what rookie doesn't need work?
Yeah.
The top 2 picks in the draft
need work.
The 2 quarterbacks need work.
Listen, the college game compared to the NFL game is night and day.
Yep.
As much as you would like to think, oh, you know what, it's the same game. It really isn't. Yeah. NFL is so much faster. You're playing the top players in the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what training camp's for. Listen,
absolutely.
Different players react. Training camp's a long time. It's a lot of work you get in. Eric Flowers is going to be a work in progress. How quick it comes, I don't know.
Offensive line is just a hard position to play.
Yep.
Any level, really. Obviously, you're playing in the NFL. It's going to be harder than anything. But this is what the NFL. This is what NFL.com had put in the grades for the draft. They had Eric Flowers for the Giants. Grade is a C+. Sports Illustrated had a C. This is the description of why they gave him a C+. It says Flowers has tremendous ability and upside, but the team might have reached a little bit with this one. He'll certainly fill a need on that team that badly needs to upgrade along the line, but Flowers
it'll be an upgrade.
Will have to refine his technique sooner rather than later. At least Eli Manning will be happy the Giants upgraded their pass rush.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Their pass protection.
Yeah.
And also I had another tweet that I read from a draft analyst and an NFL writer for the Texans, and it basically he was asked how much of a steal did the Steelers get with Bud Dupree. Yeah. He said Dupree was one of the top 3 value picks in the first round. He had Dupree, Peters, and Humphreys as top value picks. Mm-hmm. And then the 3 lowest value, he had Mariota, Flowers, and Shaq.
Yeah, well,
so
we talked about Mariota. Listen, a work in progress. Eric Flowers, same thing, but the Giants really don't have.
They don't have anything on their front line, and they needed this no matter what.
He's a big, strong guy still.
Absolutely. I think number 13, the Saints took Andrews Pete. Yeah. This was another guy that the Giants were looking at.
People had these guys on like a seesaw.
Yeah.
Who's better, who's not, who needs more work.
But now Sports Illustrated gave them an A- for taking Andrews Pete.
Yeah.
Well, so it's
I'm surprised they didn't take a first round. I'm surprised they didn't go after a wide receiver, though.
Well, yeah. But, I think they ended up taking a wide receiver in the second round, I want to say.
Yeah, I bet eventually.
But again, it's... You don't know in the draft. You don't know.
Yeah.
You won't know until you get into training camp. You won't know until 2 years into their play to find out how these guys are. How they
respond to training camp. How they respond to in-game action. I mean, there's a lot of questions for every single draft pick. I mean, so this isn't taking away from anything from the Giants. It's just again, a guy that needs work, but he still is a big guy. Then Giants filled the need. Hey, it's a decent pick, but not a lot of good grades from the experts. On to number 10, the Rams taking Todd Gurley, running back, Georgia.
Yeah.
Isn't he hurt right now?
There's been a lot of talk because of his torn ACL.
Yep.
Supposedly he'll be ready for training camp, what I'm told.
No, they still think he was the best player available. I mean, the Rams definitely need to work on the they did trade to the New York Jets. They actually eventually traded for a 7th-round pick, Zach Stacy. Stacy's a powerful back. I mean, I feel like Todd Gurley is an all-purpose back. I mean, but again, we talked about this. You need multiple players in that backfield if you want to be successful. If you expect a guy that's already injured to give you a full season of work with a full load, good luck to you.
From what I'm hearing about Todd Gurley, I'm hearing that they're comparing him to Marshawn Lynch, and they're saying that he's going to be the next Marshawn Lynch.
But Marshawn Lynch doesn't get hurt so again, this is he might be as good as him. The cutting, everything. Listen, there are a lot of good running backs in the NFL. I don't know, what team can you tell me that doesn't have a solid running back core? Back core. That's it for the top 10. I think we're going to go into more detail now on.
I think we'll start off with. We'll start off with the Jets.
All right, sounds good.
Basically, their first-round pick, obviously, we were talking about, they took Leonard Williams, 20 years old, big boy.
Big for a 20-year-old.
6'5", 302 pounds.
Again, another player that's a work in progress.
I
mean, might be the best. Everyone's saying this guy's the best player in the NFL draft. I mean, the best, value pick or whatever. The Jets got to steal, They, listen, a guy needs work. He's young. He's going to have to learn a lot. Schemes, everything. There's a lot that goes into work, a lot with training camp. And, this guy, listen, great talent. But, again, a lot of question marks all the time. You never know.
Like I said, I was kind of telling you kind of off the air just about how good of an offseason that the Jets have had.
Well, Jets had so many needs. I mean, they
really
had so much stuff they needed.
But you know what? You got to give it to Mike Magadan, the general manager, new general manager, to come in and do all of this stuff with the team that he had. And, I mean, you're looking at the draft. They take Leonard Williams in the first. Their second round, they take Devin Smith. They could use another wide receiver.
Absolutely. Is he going to play every down? Probably not. But listen, again, guys need rest. That's a position that rest is much needed and much appreciated.
Mike Mayock said, I like this pick. This guy tracks the football deep as well. As well as any wide receiver in this draft. He has 4.4 speed. It seemed like every catch he made this year was for a touchdown.
Well, Jets need a deep threat, too. I mean, Jets,
absolutely.
That was a big problem with this team. They needed someone that they can throw the ball to down the field.
Round 3, they took an outside linebacker from Louisville, Lorenzo Walden.
Absolute need.
They definitely did, and they traded. They got this pick from the Texans. Mm-hmm. This was the 82nd overall pick. Round 4, this is the pick that I like the most. Pretty much, other than the Leonard Williams pick, this is the pick that I was hoping that the Cowboys would go after. I was hoping in the second round, but we'll get into their second round pick when we get into the Cowboys. But Bryce Petty, I mean, this is what they needed. This guy, no, he's not going to be coming in and being the starter right away. He probably won't come in the second year and be the starter right away.
Yep.
He's a work in progress, definitely, but he has the potential to be a very good quarterback.
Absolutely. I mean, you're looking at a team that's got Geno Smith. It's his job to lose right now. You got Ryan Fitzpatrick as the number 2. I mean,
another guy that they brought in.
If Geno Smith struggles this year, Ryan Fitzpatrick's going in.
Yeah.
And God forbid, Ryan Fitzpatrick gets hurt or something, Geno comes back in. And, listen, Bryce Petty isn't even an option in 2015.
Absolutely not.
He's a work in progress. He's a player that they're going to have to, the guy's got to learn schemes.
Yeah.
A lot of similar schemes to where he was in. Where did he go?
He went to Baylor.
Baylor had a stretch. It was a wide. Spread defense, right?
Yeah,
Spread offense, meaning.
He was very. It was very rare that he was under center.
Yeah.
So another reason why he kind of needs to be groomed. But round 5, they got Jarvis Harrison, offensive guard from Texas A&M, 6'4", 330.
Yeah, needed depth on that offensive line.
He definitely did.
Times. Again, question marks. Let's see how he responds to training camp. He'll get bigger.
Then their last pick, they took Deion Simon, a nose tackle from Northwestern, 6'4", 321, big boy too. Mm-hmm. So
hey, you take a flyer on him.
He's dealt with a knee injury. But, he's a big boy.
Hey, I mean, listen.
So, like I said, I mean, like we were saying, the Jets have had
They've had some brutal drafts in the past.
They have, and usually you hear more boos than cheering for the Jets.
Well, only because it's usually in New York.
Yeah. But, I mean, quickly before, we go into a break here, but, as I was talking about the Jets, offseason, I mean, like I said, bringing in Mike Magadan to be their general manager, Todd Bowles as a head coach. You're talking about a defensive-minded head coach, very good defensive coordinator. Yep. Let's see what he could do as a head coach.
That Cardinal defense had a lot of injuries last year, and they still stuck up to a lot of good teams in that division.
And that's the reason why he got, the
job offer.
Absolutely. Chan Gailey, offensive coordinator. I like Chan Gailey, obviously.
The Jets' secondary last year was, I guess, nothing short of a joke. I mean, you had your top cornerback you drafted. He had gotten hurt. Obviously, now he's going to be, fighting for a number 3 spot on this team. I mean, you see the acquisition of, Darrelle Revis and Antonio Cromartie. It's looking like the 2012 Jets all over again. So, yeah. But that defense was very good. They had some good corners, good coverage, and you had Brandon Marshall, a very star wide receiver. Listen, another deep threat for us. I mean, we need some sort of deep threat.
Is Todd Bowles?
Yep.
Is he going to be calling the plays as on defense?
Absolutely.
I would probably have to guess so.
Yeah. On offense, it's
Well, you got Chan Gailey as the offensive coordinator. We'll see how that offense is. I mean, that's the only question mark with this team.
This is a team that's going to need 17 points a game. And, I mean, that's not even saying a lot of points, man. We're talking 2 touchdowns, maybe 1 touchdown to give yourself a chance in the fourth quarter with the defense that we have. Our defense has got it's very solidified. Again, there's a lot of great offenses out there. Yeah. It's not easy to stop offenses in this league, especially with, the way defensive holding increased this season. Yeah. I mean, that penalty was that was brutal to watch as a fan. Yeah. I mean, listen, I understand you can't hold receivers, but at the same time, I don't think any refs ever tried to be a cornerback before. This is a very fast game, and these receivers are quicker than ever. So
and going into more of their offseason, they brought in Darrelle Revis, they brought in Brandon Marshall, Antonio Cromartie, James Carpenter, Buster Skrine,
that's
Marcus Gilchrist, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Stephen Ridley, Zach Stacy just during the draft. Mm-hmm. They re-signed Willie Colon, they re-signed David Harris, they picked up the 5th-year option on Quentin Coples. And then their draft.
Listen, I see a lot of good acquisitions, but absolutely. I think the most important move right there is the re-signing of linebacker David Harris. I mean, this guy has been a tackling machine for 10 years. I mean, he's proven himself. So this is definitely a good offseason for the New York Jets, and we should see a much different season to last year.
Absolutely. We're going to take a break. We're going to get into the Cowboys and the Giants as well. You'll listen to Tom and Jerry Sports Show on All Noise Radio on the Live 365 app.
Trying to get 50 cents to me, stupid. I turn in the G unit, make them beg for mercy.
Connecticut School of Broadcasting founder Dick Robinson.
The media business has changed a lot since we opened our doors in 1964. Now media content is everywhere, on air, online, on the go. More than ever, companies are looking for people to help drive this new media.
At Connecticut School of Broadcasting, you'll get hands-on training on the latest software and equipment in a matter of months, not years. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has placed thousands of grads in broadcast media careers.
It's all about versatility. You see, at a radio station, if you also know how to shoot, edit, and post videos, you become a pretty hot commodity. That's the training you get at Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Connecticut School of Broadcasting, with locations up and down the East Coast, from Massachusetts to Miami. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com. Connecticut School of Broadcasting, the nation's oldest and largest group of broadcast media schools, redefining training in radio, TV, and new media. Get trained. Get connected. 1-800-TV-RADIO.
I never waited on a miracle. There ain't no miracles around here.
Welcome back to the Tom and Jerry Sports Show on the All Noise Radio and Live 365 app. We're going into the New York Giants draft. Giants again.
Yeah, like we talked about their first pick.
Yeah, Eric Flowers. A need.
Yeah, obviously it's a need. I talked about my, I guess, uneasiness about this pick. Obviously, me being a Cowboys fan, I don't like the Giants.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to lie about that. I don't like the Giants.
Yep.
Was I upset with their second-round pick getting Landon Collins? Because Cowboys could use a safety.
Well,
Cowboys, you could use a safety.
I think the Giants had like 2 guys signed from the safety position. Guys I never even heard of. That was a huge need for the New York Giants and a very good move by the general manager.
And they lost Stevie Brown right before the draft, too.
That's what I mean.
The Texans.
Yep.
So
They really they're very short on their secondary. I mean, I think that second-round pick, Landon Collins, strong safety out of Alabama, very good pick.
Yeah.
First-round talent, second-round money.
I'm just hearing that he's got some off-field problems.
Well, that's understandable.
I don't know the whole deal. I didn't hear it until after the draft. But they're round 3. I mean,
I guess I'm one of those guys you could say that like off-field problems. I mean, I'm a Jet fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like every Jet has been had off-season problems or off-field problems.
And I'm a Cowboys fan.
So you can understand with Des Bryant and everything too. But again,
let's not talk about Des Bryant like that.
Let me see. Exactly. Well, you don't realize it because of how good of a player he is on the field, and I feel like that'll be the same with Landon Collins. This guy's a good player and definitely first-round talent. Giants
I thought he was going to go in the first round.
And so did I. I mean, the fact that he fell to the second round, I think the Giants probably spent the entire night after the first round was over thinking of a way to get that from the Titans.
Listen, when you're a scout or you're a team looking at college players, I mean, what school has the most NFL-ready players? Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Alabama.
Look at their head coach.
I mean let's be serious now.
An NFL head coach. I mean, the guy
at every position.
Yeah, they really. Listen,
it's not fair.
I know. I know. You're absolutely right. I mean, Alabama is a great school. I mean, listen, I think it's still a great pick. I think the Giants made a great pick here. Again, on to the third round. I think this was just as great of a pick. They picked up a guy named Owa Odigizuma. I'm pretty sure that's the way you pronounce it. I might have butchered that, but nonetheless, it's not going to take away from how good this guy is. I think this guy is a great value pick for the New York Giants. Definite need. Giants lost, again, defense, defensive line. You need that at all times. This guy is really good at setting the edge, which is very big for the running game. I mean, you need to have guys that are going to shut off the outside, even for quarterback scrambles. This guy will definitely be a good player. I'm very excited. Even being a Jet fan, I'm excited for the Giants. I mean, that's a great pick for them. Great value pick.
Looking at the highlights for him, he kind of reminds you of Matthias Kiwanuka.
Yeah.
Maybe even better.
Yeah.
At least the potential to be better than Matthias Kiwanuka.
Mm-hmm.
Kiwanuka, when he was a defensive end, he was okay. Mm-hmm. When they moved into the linebacker, that's when he really kind of took his step forward.
You got it, yeah.
And I mean, this guy is 6'3", 267, I think.
That might be the reason for the third round pick. But again,
267.
I know a lot of guys that are shorter than that don't play that. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is,
don't play that size.
I can see him being moved to the linebacker spot.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm trying to get at here.
Wherever the need is.
Yeah, I mean, just basically being that outside rusher. Kind of like Matthias Kiwanuka. Just the size. I mean, not even the height, but more of, 267.
Now, listen, UCLA's defense, it's always a question mark, but he was definitely a bright spot out of that. On to the fifth round. Giants did not have a fourth round pick.
Michael Thompson.
Yeah, what is it, Mikel or Michael?
Michael, yeah.
Either one. Safety, again. You needed the safeties. I mean, again, I think there was 2 players that the Giants had signed from on their roster that were safeties. Guys that were, obviously not starter talent yet. They needed to get, safeties, big time. I mean, you need to clear up that secondary. It's a big part of your defense.
Yeah.
Giants' defense definitely needed a little bit of work.
The pick analysis says Thompson plays with more range than his measurables suggest. He's not flashy, but the Giants can utilize him in nickel and dime alignments as a depth defensive back.
Hey, man, listen, they need it. Depth is the perfect word to use there. Exactly. I mean, they really needed that. On to the sixth round, you got Jeremy Davis, wide receiver out of Connecticut. 6'2", 216, a little undersized, but hey, does he have hands?
Exactly.
I mean, every Giant fan could tell you. I mean, same thing with Victor Cruz, man. I mean, undersized guys, if you got hands in the NFL, that'll...
And you know what? Sometimes his hands are a little suspect.
Yeah.
Victor Cruz. But, their 7th round pick, Bobby Hart, offensive guard, obviously. A need. A need
without a doubt. I mean, listen.
And you know what? It's a Florida State lineman. Mm-hmm. He was
protecting Jameis Winston all year. I mean, listen, this guy, again, offensive guard, very smart pick for the New York Giants. They needed offensive line help. Again, anyone they could bring in is going to make a difference. People, again, hating Eric Flowers, hating, he may be even questionable about Bobby Hart, but listen, a need. Giants needed it. Offensive, line help. Help Eli Manning. Give this man some time. Eli got hit way too much this season, and you kind of felt bad for him. This is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. But you got a great offensive line. Anybody's going to be great. But and that's honestly what the Giants needed more than anything.
Pick analysis says Bobby Hart is a young prospect, turns 21 in August, with mobility ideal for the Giants. Move toward more spread. Looks like possessing the girth to grow into a contributor in their power run game.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen. The Giants' grade on this draft was definitely. Hey, I'll give them a decent grade.
They had a good draft.
They have a lot of needs. You need safeties. You needed offensive line help, and what you do? You went out and got it. I mean,
that's what you got to ask for.
You have your star receiver. You have your star quarterback. You have a couple of question marks on your defense, and you took care of it to some degree. Absolutely. I mean, you got a good defensive end that I think will help on the outside. And all right, well, that's enough of New York sports for a little bit. We're going to go with the Dallas Cowboys draft now.
We're going to go into my team.
There you go.
Number 1 pick, Byron Jones. We didn't get into it when we were talking about the draft because we only did the top 10. Byron Jones, I mean, was a pick that just fell into the Cowboys' laps, and it's a great pick.
We talked about the secondary help they needed.
It really is a great pick. And the thing with this guy from UConn, 6'1", 199, he can play safety and cornerback. Mm-hmm. Earlier in his time with Connecticut, they had their guys at corner, so he was that good that they wanted to get him on the field. So, getting him on the field, they put him at safety. He played a year with safety, then he moved to corner. I mean, he's got the speed. He broke the world record for the broad jump. I think 12.3.
So he's athletic.
Yeah, exactly. So,
absolutely athletic.
It tackle?
That's my word.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys that when I have, corners and safeties in the NFL level, your biggest part is not your speed. I understand you need to be quick, but they're all quick. All right. If you're a cornerback getting in the NFL draft, especially first round, second round, third round talent, you have speed.
Yeah.
It's whether or not you can tackle.
Oh, absolutely.
You need to be able to tackle. And honestly,
that was the big problem with Trey Waynes.
Yeah. And that's that number 11 pick by the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of people were talking about this guy had question marks as a tackler. I mean, how are you going 11th overall?
They showed highlights of him.
I saw that. I definitely saw that. Yeah, that was brutal. I saw a lot of them. And we're talking about, again.
Yeah.
Listen, you're not facing the top talent over there, too. So, I mean, listen, a decent pick for the New York, you hear me? Well, still on those New York sports. The Dallas Cowboys made a great pick, great need, cornerback.
Yeah, and their number 2 pick, this is, I mean, we were going to talk about our steals for the draft. And, I mean, it may even sound like I'm a homer, but I think the steal of the draft was the Cowboys' their second-round pick.
Well, you're talking to the kid who I said off-season, off-field problems is not a big effect for me. I mean, Randy Gregory, I've seen him in Nebraska, and he made the Nebraska defense. Yeah. That's kind of impact he is. He's a great player.
And there's highlights of him tearing apart Eric Flowers.
Yeah, man. Is that funny at all?
And you know what? I'm fine with that. If you're going to bring
on the regular season, right?
When we got to play them 2 times a year. I mean, he has his problems, and everybody is talking about he went to the perfect team for the off-field problems. The Cowboys did the same thing with Dez. Not saying that Dez, had his, he had his problems.
Listen, a lot of people said Dez Bryant had to grow up. He comes to Dallas, and now he's grown up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the same thing when I think of Randy Gregory. Gregory definitely needs to grow up, but there's a perfect place to bring him to. It's the Dallas Cowboys. I think Jerry Jones will get him together.
From what I'm hearing, it's not just like, a lot of people are saying that he's got a marijuana problem. I don't think that's the deal. I think it's...
Well, don't get suspended, young man. That's all that's all any Dallas Cowboy fan will tell you.
I'm just... from what I heard, he's got bipolar. He's got some other mental problems But it's something that he already has spoken to Michael Irvin. He wants Michael Irvin to be his mentor.
Good.
I don't know if Michael Irvin's the greatest mentor, being what he's gone through his career. But I mean, hey, if you're
experience of what he's going through, so
if you're willing to come in and say, all right, I need help, to tell that team I need help, and you're the perfect team for me. I mean, I can't hate that. I love the pick. I mean, they're talking about him being a top 10.
Jets would have probably messed that up. I'm not even joking when I say that.
I mean, they're just basically, they were talking about him being a top 10 talent, and we got him the pick number 28.
So you got first round talent with second round money. You can't ask for anything better.
Exactly. And third pick, they took offensive tackle Chaz Green just for depth because they lost Jeremy Parnell to a big deal.
Another offensive lineman.
Yeah. Wow. Round 4, they took a linebacker that they could use. They're talking about him being highly productive.
Again, depth. Guys coming in for third down.
Ryan Russell in the 5th round, defensive end from Purdue. I really like that pick as well. They need their depth at defensive end. Just the defensive line overall being that.
From my perspective,
look at the injuries that we've had the last 2 years on the line.
Mm-hmm. I'll be honest. From my perspective, the one thing I see when I see this Dallas Cowboy draft, that kind of upsets me because I really thought this was like a very, very deep running back class. I guess Dallas wasn't high on a lot of these running backs.
You know what?
They skipped running backs a lot, and that might be a need. Who's their starting running back right now?
Darren McFadden.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that pig. Yes, but very durability. Got to discuss
that's a
that
problem.
a little bit. Yeah.
But also, you're running behind that line.
That's true. You might not get touched.
Like I said, there was times where, I mean, DeMarco Murray wasn't touched 15 yards down the field.
I'll be honest. I think Dallas Cowboy are really going to not be one-dimensional. No NFL team's ever going to be successful one-dimensional, like the New England Patriots. Okay,
yeah.
You cannot pass the ball every down in this draft, in this league. But they're going to be a pass-first team.
Yeah,
they really are. They're going.
Well, I don't know.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Really?
You know what? I really think that they're going to stick with the run. I think Darren McFadden's going to. I think call me crazy. I think Darren McFadden's going to have a hell of a season.
I think they're going to be on the point where they're basically like, we know what our offensive line will do. I mean, to the standpoint where you think we're going to try to ground and pound you because of our offensive line, but we're going to throw a curveball at you, and I feel like throw the ball a lot more than expected.
I just have a feeling that they like their running backs. They said before the draft started that running back isn't a major must. And you know what? They showed it. I mean, then
I've seen this
round 7, they go for a linebacker, which they need. They had another pick in the 7th round. They took Lawrence Gibson, offensive tackle, another depth pick. And then they took a tight end that's a very, 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 very good blocking tight end, which they definitely could have used.
Of course, Jason Witten. Listen, Jason Witten's a decent blocker. I mean, he's always been a good player for them. But, again, getting older.
Absolutely.
The hands is still there for them. And I think having a blocking tight end will always, just help in that running game even a little bit more.
Yeah.
Protect Darren McFadden. Yeah. I think that should be like the vocal point on their board.
Absolutely.
Make sure this man doesn't get hurt because and I think it'll happen. I don't think he's not going to get touched too much. Not with that offensive line.
We're going to take a break. We're going to get into some boxing and other baseball news when we get back. You're listening to Tom and Jerry Sports Show on All Noise Radio on the Live 365 app. Keep it locked.
I just pull up to the spot, boy. Like I'm fresh up off the lot, boy.
All Noise Radio. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
That is how you win, stack them Benjamins to the biggest. That iPhone on. We are the champs. It's something that you can't understand.
Welcome back to the Tom and Jerry Sports Show on the All Noise Radio and live 365 app. We talked about getting in some boxing, and we literally meant some at most. I mean, this is really not going to be a topic we're going to go too much into because basically this sport is, I think officially done.
Yeah.
Every time I hear someone say fight of the century, I can't help but laugh. It makes me laugh every single time someone says the fight of the century.
Every time that I say fight of the century, I'm always using the air quotes. You got to use the air quotes because everybody was talking about this fight. I think everybody's been talking about
$100 pay-per-view event.
Yeah, and I think it's taken 5 years since they first started talking about it, when it should have happened when Pacquiao is in his prime.
All I'm going to say is from that fight, it was not an exciting fight, but I'm not surprised by it. Mayweather wins his fights that way every single time, okay? If I didn't have money on Mayweather, I probably would have fell asleep.
Yeah.
The first 5-6 rounds went pretty, almost even to some degree, but then this guy just ran away with it. Really, people say running away.
Yeah.
But that's his style. You can't hate him for his style. He's 47-0 because of that style.
Exactly.
It's really the same story, different chapter.
That's the thing. If you were looking into this fight thinking that it was going to be an exciting fight, that it was going to be, a very, on the edge of your seat type of fight, or hoping for a knockout or something like that, you obviously have not watched a Mayweather fight. It's like you said, all his fights are the same way.
The sport is done.
It
the
really
one way
is.
to describe it. The sport's done. I'll be honest, I don't even really want to talk about it anymore. Honestly, it's really, the sport's done.
See, I've been looking at it because I've always said that I thought UFC was better than boxing.
Yes.
I think
agree.
it's just so much
more action.
Yeah, it's just so much more.
There's hype up too.
Excitement.
Listen, you want to talk about hype up to this fight? There's a hype up to every main event in UFC.
Absolutely.
You're looking at
depending on you don't even have to know the name.
Yeah,
you really don't. And you know what? And I say it all the time. I like the prelims.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Because those are the more exciting fights rather than seeing a John Jones and John Jones is on that. We don't even need to talk about that.
This guy just wasted talent. I'll be
absolutely.
Honest. Go watch your brother play in another Super Bowl or something, man. I could not believe that. This guy, he's.
I'm like really upset because the guy is the best fighter in the world.
You just threw it down the toilet.
How do you? I would have loved to see him fight Anderson Silva.
Yeah,
I would have loved to. I would have loved to. But the thing is, you know what? You look at these fighters. You look at the top fighters in the UFC. Mm-hmm. You know what? Sometimes they're not.
It's the same thing as football.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Clean up, man. Let's go. You have a talent, man. We want to, and we as fans want to watch it. I wanted to watch John Jones fight another 10 to 15 more fights.
Absolutely.
His kicks are vicious, and again, vicious. Very good fighting action. UFC really is out coming up.
That's the thing. Sometimes you get some fights that our submission, fighters.
Hey, down on the ground.
You know what?
The littlest movement makes a difference, man.
See, that's
really
the thing.
Crazy.
When people, talk about, this guy's been on the ground for, the whole 5 minute round.
That's his style. That's his prepreparation. That's what he thinks he's going to win with.
You know what? You're not watching it
from the perspective of other people
for the right reason. Mm-hmm. The right reason. I love watching UFC. I'll pick it apart.
I'm a beginner, but I'm starting to love it more and more. I watch fights, the more and more I'm loving it.
You know what? I just love how there's certain moves that you do. If to say on the ground, depending on you can move your arm an inch to the right,
and that'll make all the difference in the world in the fight.
Exactly.
It might not look like a lot, but it is a lot.
Exactly. And whether the guy has wrist control, if he's mounted the guy, side control, whatever it is. It's just it's exciting to watch.
Yeah.
And then you get the every 5 fight knockout.
Yeah,
that's always awesome to watch.
Yep.
Just overall, the UFC is taking over money
and they're
wise.
Taking care of their players.
Yeah,
not players. You hear me? They're
fighters.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're taking care of these guys.
Obviously with the boxing,
right on.
Yeah, obviously with the boxing, everybody's talking about Pacquiao's shoulder. I agree with it just because everybody's paying $100 to watch this on TV, but meanwhile this guy is only just worried about getting paid, just stepping into the ring, and he's going to get paid $80 million?
This will be my final statement about that boxing fight. I saw tweets from both fighters after that fight was over. You got Mayweather going on a jet wherever he was going.
Yeah.
Okay, and you got Pacquiao going to church. And you look at both these guys, they look like they didn't even get into a fight the day before.
Yeah.
We're going to just end with boxing on that note, to be honest, because that fight was a very big disappointment. I think all fans can agree. We'll move on to the NHL playoffs. New York Rangers losing an upsetting one a couple of nights ago, getting shut out 1-0 to the Washington Capitals. I'll give it to Brandon Holtby. I'm an Islander fan. All right, we faced him for 7 games. Guy was great.
Yeah.
The Islanders are a very high-scoring team all year long, and they held the Islanders to under 2 goals for a good portion of that series. Rangers got to find a way to get the puck in the net. Had a lot of great opportunities. Controlled the puck for the most part in the first couple of games of the series, but still find themselves trailing. They're going to have to find a
and you know what? It's like it's not even like Lundqvist is playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah, he's been very good. Did you see that stop he made on Ovechkin the other? Oh my God! That was incredible.
See, and this was my even when we were talking about it, this was my concern for the Rangers was Lundqvist. Coming off of the injury.
He's the last concern now. The concern is the offense. I mean, listen, they have great players there. Stefan's a great player. Nash is a great player. These guys are good scorers. But to some degree, I mean, Islanders had great scorers too. Guys that put up good numbers. Yeah. You got to bring the defense in to some degree. I mean, they're playing a very safety-first kind of a style. But, I mean, when you're down 1-0 in a game, enough's enough. You need to bring that other D-man in. But I think the Rangers' game plan for these series has been very good. Their forecheck has been excellent. They're really doing work with their forwards. And their defense really don't need to come up. But when you are trailing in these games like they have been, you got to find a way to tie the game. I mean, it's that simple.
I think Boyle's been a very...
and Yandel, man. I mean, I feel like both of those defensemen that they went and picked up this year, and they gave away a lot
you know what?
for this guy Yandel, man.
Boyle, I mean, I'm looking in
He's an older guy.
A non-Ranger fan, but I mean, I'm getting pissed off by just watching some of the things that I've seen with Boyle. In
what game was it? I think it was game 1, right, where they scored with 1 second left in the game. I mean, Dan Boyle took a hit from behind from Nicholas Backstrom. Now, Nicholas Backstrom is a great player, and the hit can be so questionable. I've actually watched it over and over a numerous amount of times. Dan Boyle hit the ice, understandable, but I felt like he kind of tried to sell a penalty instead of continuing to play. And this is the playoffs. You know what kind of situation you're in. If it's a penalty, the refs will call it right away, no matter what, no matter if you hit the ice or not. The embellishing is not going to do nothing. Obviously, I've seen Washington embellish a good amount of calls too. I've seen them get caught embellishing once actually as well. But
the thing is, being that they finished early with their first round, being that you had to watch this series between the Capitals and the Islanders. Mm-hmm. You should have seen that these plays were going to happen. Yeah. I mean,
it's going to get physical.
I can't even tell you how many times that an Islander was hit from behind.
From Ovechkin, exactly. Above all people.
I mean, it happened at least 3 times. Wisnowski was crushed all series.
The one thing that questions me, this guy Boyle was back on the ice the next morning.
But that's what I'm saying.
You weren't hurt. Come on, man. Who are you trying to sell it to?
The thing is, you're not going to get the call.
Yeah, this is the playoffs.
Play hockey.
You got to keep playing.
Play hockey.
And honestly, it was a big reason why they were able to score. Yeah. This guy was wide open, Joel Ward, in front of the net. That is Dan Boyle's position, but he was too busy in the corner on the ice.
I mean the goal that they scored last night was a goal that came from behind the net.
Yeah, it was kind of a very questionable. I mean, I felt so bad for the Rangers actually on that goal because Lundqvist is very, very good. And honestly, to get beat on a goal like that, I mean, the guy took a shot and got his own rebound. Yeah. I mean, you can't allow that. I mean, you got to get the puck out in front, which the Rangers have done a great job of. And I mean, I'm an Islander fan, and I'm not going to sit there and hate the New York Rangers about this situation. The Rangers are playing very, very good hockey. I mean, they really are clearly one of the best puck possession teams in the NHL right now. But listen, Washington is no pushover. They're going to bring the hitting. They're going to bring a different style that the Rangers aren't used to. Okay, I mean, there was a lot of hits in that Pittsburgh series, but there was a lot of hits in the Washington series as well. Yeah. That's their game plan, and that's what they're going to go with. It's going to continue to bring success.
Out of all the teams that moved on, the hits, Washington was in first by 200 hits.
Yeah. I know.
So that just shows you how physical that the Islander Capital series was.
Yeah.
But I mean, going on to just kind of going over the other series, we have The other Eastern Conference series, you have Montreal and Tampa Bay. Last week I said Tampa Bay was the team that I thought could beat the Rangers in the Eastern Conference, and they're showing it right now. I mean, first
Ben
game...
Bishop, man. I mean, he's the only one I feel like could stand up to Carey Price. I mean, Carey Price is very good, but I mean,
Carey Price is probably going to win the Hart.
And you feel bad for him because, I mean, this team that's in front of him right now on the ice is not... Yeah, I mean, you got guys that, I mean, like, we talked about it the other day. I mean, the Toronto Maple Leafs had the same amount of goals as... the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, yet Montreal is in second or third, and Toronto. I lost track of wherever they finished. They might have finished close to dead last.
They were close. Yeah, they were close to the bottom.
If they weren't teams like Buffalo and stuff.
First game, Lightning won 2-1 in overtime.
A tough one for them and for Carey Price.
Game 2, Carey Price had a bad game.
I wouldn't even say a bad game. I think just Tampa Bay. The Canadians were committing a lot of penalties.
Yeah.
I mean, Brandon Pruss comes out saying after the game that the refs were going against them. Dude, that is not the right thing to say. If you expect to get the calls in the rest of that series, that is not the right thing to say at that point. But right now, Tampa Bay looking very dominating, winning both games in Montreal, and heading back home with a comfortable 2-0 lead.
Yeah.
On to the West. You got the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota, very surprising team. Well, obviously Blackhawks, you knew they were going to be there, especially with the return of Patrick Kane.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Patrick Kane, they didn't even think he was even going to make it back for the playoffs. And, I mean, this guy makes it back. He's got 5 points in 5 goals and 10 points in, 8 games or so?
It's clear that Minnesota just can't handle the star forwards of the Chicago Blackhawks. Both teams.
They're too good. I mean, you're looking at Jonathan Taves. You're looking at Sharp.
Patrick Kane.
We're
talking about 2 lines full of forwards that got star talent all over, and they're a very difficult team. And, it's showing right now. 2-0 lead for the Blackhawks, heading back to Minnesota for, I think, tonight? Tomorrow.
May 5th, tonight.
Yeah, tonight's game. Yeah, Cinco de Mayo.
Tonight, you got...
No, you got the Blackhawk game, and you got the Anaheim Duck game, which is also the other Western Conference. You got the Anaheim Ducks taking on the Calgary Flames, and right now, Calgary isn't showing that they belong.
No,
I mean, you have one goal. What is it? 1 goal in 2 games. I mean, the Ducks have scored 9. They're obviously dominating right now. The Ducks really, are very physical. Flames actually surprised me in the first round with the way how physical they were able to be. They definitely played a very physical series against the, I think it was the Vancouver Canucks, right? Very impressive series for the Flames. But the Ducks looking like they're too physical right now. They're star forwards again. They can't handle it right now, and it's going to be trouble. I mean, I would be very surprised if I don't see a Duck Chicago Blackhawk semifinal in the West.
Happen.
It's really coming down to the end right now.
I say Rangers.
I think the Rangers are coming back in that series. I mean, they just clearly they're outplaying them. It's just it's a situation where but
you know what?
Make adjustments, you'll be fine.
I noticed in yesterday's game, Washington was just totally out hustling the Rangers.
It was a close game. That was really both teams were really going at it.
I just felt like every loose puck, a Capital was on top of it. No matter what. Quick. I mean, we'll get into some baseball. Yankees take a bad loss last night to Toronto.
Yeah,
the
bullpen. Believe it or not, the one strength that the Yankees have had all season long obviously didn't work out for them.
I think Whitley could have pitched another inning. To be honest with you,
you never know. I mean, that's not a question you need.
See, but that's the only question that I have with Joe Girardi. I think he overcoaches sometimes, overmanages, and tries to mix and match, and sometimes it just doesn't work. And the guy was pitching good. I think he had 90 pitches at the time. I think it's
just a Yankee fan. We all wish we had Joe Torre back. I mean, Joe Torre.
Yeah. Well, you know what? To be honest with you, I think Joe Torre was past his time. Next week we'll get into more of the NHL playoffs. Maybe we'll talk about the NBA playoffs if we really want to. That will do it.
New York action there.
I'm Jerry.
I'm Donny.
Be breezy. Thanks for listening to another episode of The Tom and Jerry Show.
Our jobs occupy more than half our waking hours. Shouldn't we be doing something we love? Call Connecticut School of Broadcasting at 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com. Since 1964, Connecticut School of Broadcasting, with a network of 12 campuses from Massachusetts to Miami, has helped place thousands of grads as DJs, sportscasters, entertainment reporters, behind the scenes in audio and video production, every aspect of the broadcast media. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has trained men and women of all ages and backgrounds in a matter of months, not years. Learn by doing from area radio and TV pros. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com. Remember, It's never too late to love what you do. Day and evening classes begin soon. Get trained. Get connected now.